Hello everybody, and welcome to another Core Set 2020 draft here on the channel. Before I dive in, I do want to remind you that if you enjoy this video, be sure to hit that thumbs up button. If the video gets to 50 thumbs up, I will post another video tomorrow. So if you want to support the channel and get access to more content at the same time, hitting that thumbs up button is the best way to do that. If you have any feedback at all about the draft or the gameplay, be sure to leave those in the comment section down below. And also be sure to subscribe to the channel to join the community we have here on YouTube and to get updates whenever I post new content. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. Okey-doke, so starting things off, our rare is a bit of a dud. It may be a 2-mana 2/3 that makes our creatures cheaper, but it also kills a lot of those creatures, and is therefore not really a card I am interested in playing in Limited. Sometimes you'll have a deck that just happens to work well with it. You'll have a bunch of Lavakin Brawlers to ramp out with it, a bunch of Netcaster Spiders maybe, so you don't end up killing your own creatures, but pack one, pick one, I like to take a more flexible card. Speaking of flexible cards, Ancestral Blade is quite a powerful card. 2 mana for essentially a 2/2 that can then start making your other creatures bigger at the cost of making itself smaller is quite a powerful card, and the only real reason why this card is not a higher pick than it normally would be is that white is just not very good in this format. The commons do not back it up very well, so Ancestral Blade normally would be a pretty good card to take, but it's just not a card that I'm super interested in this early because I'd rather avoid white. White just isn't the place to be in this format. The other uncommons are also good. Air Elemental is the pick out of this pack. I think that it is fantastic in this format. 5 mana for a 4/4 flyer is always going to be good, and then the fact that it is an elemental is actually relevant in this set. So this card is a windmill pick out of this pack. I think it's significantly better than the rest of the cards, and definitely the pick, though I will talk about some of the other cards. Scampering Scorcher does perform in this format. It has a lot of elemental synergies, especially on Arena. You can tend to get a lot of Risen Reefs, and therefore Scampering Scorcher goes up a little bit in value and is a card that I'm pretty happy to play in my elemental decks, though I think you kind of want to have a reason to play it. You don't just want to jam Scampering Scorcher into any old deck. There are some formats where that would be good. 4 mana for 3 1/1s is never going to be a horrific card, but I think that you kind of want some elemental synergies before you run this card. Looking at the commons, there are a couple of commons that are worth talking about. Lavakin Brawler is the best common in this pack. It has a lot of synergy because there's tons of elementals in this format. It also works really well with Goblin Smuggler. Goblin Smuggler, of course, is 3 mana for a 2/2 haste that can tap to give a creature unblockable, and you can give your Lavakin Brawler unblockable and then attack them for a big chunk of damage. It also works really well with Scampering Scorcher. Destructive Digger is a red common that I like to have access to one copy of in my red decks, but other than the first copy, I don't like to run multiples because the ability is only like semi-relevant. A lot of the time you won't be able to activate it. It's just nice to have access to like a certain amount of late game mana sinks. Netcaster Spider is a card that I like a little bit more in Best of One than in normal drafts, just because Netcaster Spider gives you a nice little edge against the Flyers decks, and there are quite a few decks that run Flyers. Sanitarium Skeleton is a key component in certain black decks if you're running multiple Bone Splinters, if you have an altar of... Dang, I can't remember the exact name, but the Blood-Soaked Altar, that's what it's called. You'll want Sanitarium Skeletons, but not a card I'm going to take early, and yeah, Air Elemental is my first pick out of this pack, and the next pick I'd probably lean towards taking the Lavakin Brawler or maybe even the Ancestral Blade, though I do kind of want to avoid white decks if I can. Okie doke, moving on to pack 1, pick 2, we have a great uncommon in Meteor Golem. 7 mana for a 3/3 that just destroys an on-land permanent. It's colorless, so you can play it in any deck, and it's definitely going to be the pick out of this pack. The rare is missing, so we don't really get a sense of signals. Pattern Matchers are pretty solid uncommon. You can usually end up with a couple of multiples, and Pattern Matcher can do good work for you, but it's not really a card I take early, and I don't even always play it, even in my final decks. Season of Growth is an uncommon that has been impressive to me. I think there are quite a few ways to target your creatures, and a lot of them are just better than they look, like Feral Invocation, which is 2 and a green for a flash enchantment that gives your creature +2/+2. Of course, the best way to target your own creatures is Rabid Bite, which is just basically a removal spell for green decks, because green decks usually have big creatures sitting around, so that turns your Rabid Bite into a 2-for-1 because you draw a card with your Season of Growth. Also, the Scry ability is quite relevant in the late game. The one thing I will say about Season of Growth is if you are playing on Arena, you do not need to take this card early. I guarantee it wheels out of this pack because the bots just do not value Season of Growth. So if this, sometimes you can think something like, hey, I'll take the Rabid Bite out of this pack and wheel the Season of Growth, which will make the Season of Growth better, and because you know you're going to get the Season of Growth back, you can start taking other cards that work with it. Here, though, Meteor Golem keeps me flexible, is a very powerful card, and gives my potentially blue deck. Blue doesn't have a ton of unconditional removal spells. It gives my blue deck access to a removal spell. Winged Words is another good common here. Draw 2 cards, sometimes even for 2 mana is just a good deal. And then looking at the other commons, Lavacan Brawler I already talked about is great. Pagmastiff is also a pretty solid red common, but if I was going to take a common out of this pack, it would probably just be the Rabid Bite. I think Rabid Bite is a step up over the Winged Words, even though I already have a good blue card. I think Dawning Angel would normally be a very good common, but it is in white, and I don't want to move into white this early. But here, just going to take the Meteor Golem. Moving on to pick 3, we have what I believe is the best common in the set, Cloud Conceer. Windmill Slam out of this pick. It keeps me in blue for my Air Elemental, and is overall just a fantastic card. 3 mana 2/1 flyer is already like semi-playable in a lot of formats, and the fact that it draws you a card and is an elemental is just insane. So Cloud Conceer is excellent. One card I will note in this pack is this Renowned Weaponsmith. Keep in mind that it's not just able to search for cards, it can actually ramp out your Meteor Golem, which can be very relevant, because a turn 5 Meteor Golem is very potent. And 2 mana 1/3 that can sometimes search up like a Vial of Dragonfire is not horrific on its own, so this card's probably going to wheel out of the pack, and I might take it if I end up using this Meteor Golem, but Cloud Conceer is the definite pick out of this pack. I do think Angel of Vitality has a home in this format. I think that there is a black-white life gain deck built around cards like Angel of Vitality, and whatever the 1 black for a 2/3 flyer that grows every time you gain life is called. I forget exactly the name right now, but I think that card is pretty good as well. And if you can get enough of those in Angel of Vitality, you can build a black-white life gain deck. That deck is very uncommon based, which means you need to get those 2 uncommons for the deck to be worth it, but if you do, you can build a pretty successful deck. So in this pack, I definitely take the Cloud Conceer, and then I might even lean towards taking the Weaponsmith, just because it does have some synergy with stuff, but I would probably just take the Netcaster Spider or Angel of Vitality over that, because I'm pretty confident the Weaponsmith will wheel. Off to a great start this draft, though, and we're left with a pretty interesting choice here. So, Rule of Law is unplayable and limited. Unchained Berserker is actually pretty good if you are in an aggressive enough strategy, though I don't love to just move in super early, because I think a lot of the more aggressive strategies are a bit weaker, and 1 toughness is a liability in a format where there are a decent number of like small creatures or tokens to really punish you. The fact that it has protection from white really does help against that, though, because Raise the Alarm can't just ambush this and run you, like wreck you, but it's like an okay card, but not like a card that I'm insanely high on. Looking at the commons, I think that Frostlings is the clear pick out of this pack. It keeps me mono blue, leaves me flexible to any direction, though keep in mind this is the 3rd Lavacan Brawler I've seen, so maybe I'm just supposed to move into red-green. I like just staying flexible with a Frostlings, though there are also a decent number of white cards, and I could potentially move into a white-blue Flyers deck. Aerial Assault, of course, is a pretty good removal spell in the Flyers decks, because if you gain 3 life from this card, that's actually a significant advantage, so I do like that as well. Undead Servant, I would play it if I had 3 copies of it and I needed 4 drops, but it's not like an inspirational card or anything. Inspiring, why would I describe it? I think after Frostlings I would just take the Lavacan Brawler, but I think Frostlings is a close but clear pick here out of the pack. And now it really looks like my deck is getting pulled towards the red color combinations. A Scampering Scorcher and a Embercat, and also a Reduced to Ashes. I'm fine playing a blue-red deck, and I think that the Embercat is actually the pick, because as you can see I have 3 other elementals that all work well with the Chandra's Embercat, ramping them out. I am a little bit tempted by a Vial of Dragonfire, but I'm probably going to be able to get one later, and the only reason I'm tempted by this is because I think I'm going to wheel the Renowned Weaponsmith, and then having 1 Vial of Dragonfire to go get and a Meteor Golem makes the Renowned Weaponsmith actually quite good in my deck. I definitely prioritize the Chandra's Embercat over the Reduced to Ashes. Reduced to Ashes is a very clunky removal spell, but definitely one that I like to have access to 1 copy of in my red decks, because killing something like a Silverback Shaman can be quite potent. It does stop the Death Claws on a Silverback Shaman. Of course, Silverback Shaman is the 3 green for a 5/4 trampler that when it dies, draw a card, and exiling it prevents that clause. Scampering Scorcher is also a consideration, because it does work with the Flamekin Brawlers that I have seen earlier in this pack, but I'm not sure I'm going to wield those Lavacan Brawlers. I always say that wrong. It does work with the Lavacan Brawlers, but I'm not sure I'm going to wheel any of those Lavacan Brawlers, so I'd rather just take a Chandra's Embercat. The only other consideration in this pack for me is Reduced to Ashes. I guess any of these red cards are kind of considerations, but I think Chandra's Embercat, and then I think I would go Reduce, Scampering, Vial in this pack, because I'm pretty confident I can get a Vial later, and then Windscarred Crag is not really a consideration either. I think Negate is main deckable in certain decks in the format, but I'd rather just figure out my colors than take an early Negate here. Okie doke, so this pack is a little bit on the weaker side. Vengeful Warchief is a fine card, but it's not insane or anything, and I'm not like dying to play it. I think Swiftwater Cliffs is probably the pick out of this pack. Any Elementals deck, especially if it's not any Elementals deck wants the ability to splash a Risen Reef if you get one. You can get Risen Reefs relatively late, especially in the later packs on Arena, and Swiftwater Cliffs helps you splash pretty effectively. The only other cards that are in my colors, I know I'm playing blue at this point because I have 3 pretty good blue cards. The only and Frilled Sea Serpent and Zephyr Charge are not really cards I want to be playing. I think Vengeful War Chief is an okay card. It does make your opponent not want to attack you, but it's really not the card I'm interested here. I think that both Voiced Claw and Ripscale Predator are a little bit underrated currently. They're just big creatures that kind of demand answers, and they're pretty okay for that. I think Moreland Inquisitor is not super great. It dies to shock. It dies to... I mean, it just doesn't really get through any 2/3s that your opponent plays. Like Netcaster Spider just blanks it. It's just not a great card. Daybreak Champlain I think is a nice combo with Gauntlets of Light, but we're not going in that direction, so we're just going to take the Swiftwater Cliffs. And now we do see a Vial of Dragonfire. I don't love main decking Heartpiercer Bow in best of 1, so I think that Vial of Dragonfire is just the clear pick out of this pack. God's Willing is pretty good, but I don't think the bots value it very highly, so I'm not going to view this as a signal. Diamond Knight is also a card that I'm not super high on. Even though it is an artifact for the potential Renowned Weaponsmith, just 3 mana 1/1 is too slow. Other cards to note in this pack is just Negate. I might main deck a Negate, but I'd rather just take a Vial of Dragonfire here, get access to some removal that also works with the Renowned Weaponsmith I feel like I'm going to table. And yeah, I'd rather play that than a Heartpiercer Bow. And now we can take either a Fortress Crab or a Prismite or a Salvager of Ruin. Salvager's not very good though. 3 mana 2/1, even if it can buy back some of your cards, just it's too small to be useful and too expensive for the ability, I think. We could just take a Fortress Crab for our Flyers deck, win in the air while we use our Fortress Crab on the ground. I think we're just going to take Prismite though in case we end up wanting to splash something. And Lavakin Brawler did wheel, that's a fantastic sign. Yeah, this card's going to be great in the deck with all of our elementals. And now Pattern Matcher is a consideration. If we are going to get that Weaponsmith out, we can ramp this out a little early, potentially. And also, it just works well if we get multiple Lavakin Brawlers. So I think that is the pick over the Befuddle. The Befuddle is a fine card that you can play. I just don't prioritize it very highly. And Weaponsmith did come back, as I expected. Makes all of our cards better. We've been drafting as if we're going to get this back, so definitely pick. And I guess we'll take the Healer of the Glade. We're not going to be playing it, but it's nice to have the option. And we'll just... Probably not going to play a Convolute. Probably not going to play Zephyr Charge, but you never know. Okie doke. Moving on to pack 2. Our deck is excellent, and we have a very close pick here. Keep in mind, we could still move off of red if we get a good enough rare. If we had, say, opened an insane black rare, we could have just taken it and moved into black-blue, though I think our red cards are quite good as well. This pick is actually very close. Glinthorn Buccaneer is quite good, but keep in mind, we aren't going to be running all that many red sources, I don't think. We might, so the double red could be a little bit harder. It's also not as good in our more like mid-rangey Flyers deck, so I'm not really looking to take it here. In this pack, there's also a Spectral Sailor, which is just a really good uncommon. There's also Cloud Concealer. I think Spectral Sailor versus Cloud Concealer is a pick that I've had before and kind of not been unsure of what to take. Cloud Concealer, of course, just immediate value, draws you the card. But Spectral Sailor, being a 1-drop that can also give you kind of a late-game engine, is also quite nice. So I'm really not sure what the pick I'm supposed to take here is between the two. I think last time I was confronted with this pick, I took the Cloud Concealer, and I've been pretty happy with every time I've drawn Cloud Concealer. But just having a late-game mana sink could be quite nice. So I'm a little bit conflicted here. There's also an Ember Cat, which might wheel, especially because we're probably not taking the Buccaneer just because of mana considerations. Like, Buccaneer is a great card, but I think Chandra's Ember Cat is probably going to wheel because the bots will just take the Glinthorn Buccaneer, and I'm not sure how many red drafters there are. But yeah, this pick between the Sailor and the Cloud Concealer is the real consideration here. Spectral Sailor, on one hand, gives me late game value. It also gives me a 1-powered flyer, and gives me a little bit of inevitability. Whereas the Cloud Concealer just gives me immediate value, and it gives me elemental synergies. I think I'm going to take the Spectral Sailor. See how it works out. Okie doke, and then this pack is a complete blank for us. There is an Anticipate, which can sometimes be useful as just a way to fill your curve on 2. We're not going to be splashing into green for a double green card. We could just take the Creeping Trailblazer in case we get enough fixing to just splash a green card, and I think that is what I'm going to do, just because if we're going to be planning on splashing a Risen Reef, if we get one of those, splashing a Creeping Trailblazer is not all that much downside, and we do have a decent number of elementals, so I think this is higher upside and worth taking over an Anticipate, though I'm not happy to be taking it by any stretch of the imagination. There's another Ancestor Blade. Goblin Ringleader, I think you need like 7 goblins, but you can sometimes get there on goblins because there are a decent number of good goblins in the format. So let's just take the Creeping Trailblazer. And now another Renowned Weaponsmith. I don't think we're going to have to take this one, though. We can probably get it later, and I just would rather get another Lavakin Brawler. This is a fantastic common. There is a Scorcher here, but I think just getting a second Lavakin Brawler is better for us. I just really like Lavakin Brawler. It just attacks like a house, and I have not been as impressed with the Scorcher, even though it is a combo with the Brawler we already have. Sleep Paralysis is a fine removal spell, but you generally only want one copy, and it's not a super high priority copy to get, and we're just going to try and get some red removal spells a little bit later. Metropolis Sprite is a pretty solid 2-drop. I think the Weaponsmith is going to wheel out of this pack, and we might even play 2 of them depending on how many more artifacts we get. But yeah, let's just take the Lavakin Brawler. This is a late Knight of the Ebon Legion. Knight of the Ebon Legion is a slam windmill first pick. It's just an incredible card. Unfortunately, we can't play it in this deck, so we might just take a Bird Grabber, because we do have a lot of flyers to go with the Bird Grabber. We could also just take a Dismal Backwater in case we want to splash a black card, or a Bone to Ash. But Knight of the Ebon Legion is fantastic. Just insane card. Noxious Grasp is a pretty good card if you are playing best of 3, because this is just a fantastic sideboard card. I think we're just gonna, we only have 2 drops right now. Let's just take the Goblin Bird Grabber. It can potentially be relevant in our deck. And yeah, nothing really for us here. This pack is a little bit dry. It just doesn't have really any good cards in it. Overcome's a solid card, but not insane. Let's just take the Prismite. You never know. And here we will pick up a Metropolis Sprite, just a solid 2-drop. It's a flyer for my Bird Grabber. It can hit for a decent amount of damage, and I'm pretty happy to take it. I will say Scorch Spitter is fine in an all-in red deck. Like if you're playing mono red, I'd be fine playing Scorch Spitter. If I had a couple of Chandra's Spitfires, I'd be fine playing Scorch Spitter. But most of the time, I don't really like to play Scorch Spitter, even in a deck that can cast it and cares about the elementals. Heart Piercer Bow could go with the second Renowned Weaponsmith I'm going to get, or maybe Anvil Wrought Raptor could be a card that I play because I have a couple Weaponsmiths. I'm just assuming I'm going to get the other Weaponsmith back, but I'm just going to take the Sprite because it's better on its own. And now there's a Vial of Dragonfire. 2 Vials plus 2 Renowned Weaponsmiths seems like a fine place to be, especially because I'm going to have Pattern Matcher and Meteor Golem and maybe an Anvil Rod Raptor. There's also a Fairy Miscreant, though. I don't think I'm going to get enough. I think I need to have 4 of these before I'm happy playing it, so we're just going to take the Vial. This is a very late Audacious Thief. I will say Audacious Thief is a key card for the black decks. It can just kind of 1v9, just win the game by itself if you can get this down early, and you can build your deck around it if you get enough copies of it. For example, Feral Invocation is a great combo with this because they kind of are incentivized to block, and so then you just wreck them. But we're just going to take the Vial here. And now another Frostlink's incredibly late. This is the only real card in our colors, so definitely the pick here. I will say Woodland Champion can be fantastic in the right deck, but it's kind of a green-white-gold card because that's really the only deck that's going to have enough tokens. This card plus Raise the Alarm, you get to use Raise the Alarm as a combat trick that leaves behind 2 tokens, so it's just really good that way. But just an easy Frostlink's here. And out of that first pack, Cerulean Drake Wield. I think we're going to be taking the Drake over the Octoprophet. We already have a couple of 4-drops, and Cerulean Drake can be a fine main deckable card because it just really shuts down the red decks in the format, and red is one of the better colors, so I like main decking this just because it blocks so well. And we get back the Anticipate. We might main deck that, though we could just main deck a Negate instead. We kind of already got there on 2-drops, so let's just take the Negate. And Weaponsmith did come back. I am fine playing the Weaponsmith, so yeah, 2 Weaponsmith, 2 Vials could be solid. A little bit better than Metropolis Sprite, I think. And then Bone Dash came back. Moat Piranhas sometimes is playable. I will say with Moat Piranhas, you kind of need to have a game plan for this card to be good. You can't just slot it into a random deck because most decks sometimes play offense, sometimes play defense. But Moat Piranhas can have a home if your deck is like, I'm going to be a Flyers deck. I will only win the game by winning with Flyers. Or maybe a late game control deck, like maybe you're playing a Sage's Denizen, you're like, I'm going to mill my opponent out. All I need is defense. So you really need a game plan to make it good. And pack 3, what do we got here? We have Cloud Conceer, which is definitely better than Warden of Evo's Isle. Drawing a card is just so much better than making your other flyers cheaper, even though that does have some synergy with our Air Elemental. We're just going to be slamming this Cloud Conceer. Other cards in the pack, Unsummon. I really like the first copy of it. It's actually a very good card to have 1 copy of because it's just such cheap interaction. But I think Cloud Conceer is far superior to every common, so we're just going to take the Cloud Conceer here. Ley Lines are just not playable in Limited. With 2 Weaponsmiths, we might main deck a Heart Piercer Bow, though I don't think that's correct. So let's just take the Cloud Conceer. It might not be correct. And now here's the Risen Reef that we were thinking about getting. We were kind of anticipating seeing a Risen Reef here, but it's actually close as to whether it is correct to take it here. I think this Pattern Matcher is going to wheel, and Pattern Matcher is actually quite nice in our deck. The question is it correct to splash? And I don't even think it is correct to splash in this deck. We have enough powerful things going on that we don't need to splash, and I think that we're just going to take a Winged Words here, reliably draw 2 cards off of it, and then wheel this Pattern Matcher, because this pack is quite powerful, and then we'll wheel the Pattern Matcher and then have quite a good deck for Pattern Matcher, given the fact that we have 2 Lavakins, 2 Frostlings, 2 Cloudkins, 2 Renowned Weaponsmiths, just a lot of 2-ofs to go get extra copies of with our Pattern Matchers. So I think sometimes it's correct to splash Risen Reef, but generally it's better to splash it in your green-based decks so that you can have extra fixing from green, like Gift of Paradise. And we don't really have enough fixing just with just 1 Swiftwater Cliff, so we're just going to make the mature pick, take the Winged Words. Elvish Reclaimer, I will say, is a pretty good card, but obviously we're not green. I just like this card in general. It's more powerful than it looks. Sometimes you can just use it to fix your mana, fix some crazy splashes. It does get any land, so you can get a dual land with it, which is quite nice. Bloodsoaked Altar is a card you kind of have to build around, but it can actually be quite potent if you do achieve that build around status, though I think I would take Audacious Thief over it in most circumstances. But yeah, not easy Winged Words, but it is a Winged Words pick here. And now we just get to pick up a Chandra. Chandra is fantastic in any deck, and our deck has elemental synergies, so this isn't even remotely close. There's not even another card in our colors. The only other blue or red cards are Tectonic Rift and Fortress Crab, so not going to be taking those. I do think Barkite Troll is pretty good, but it's a little bit like worse than it looks, because if you're not casting it on exactly turn 2, it's basically just a 3/3, so don't go like bananas if you see Barkite Troll, but it is a good card.
So
Easy
much
Chandra.
to do, so much to see. I'm fired up.
And now we can just take a Winged Words. I really do like the draw card aspect. Getting card draw, especially when you have things like Spectral Sailor and Cerulean Drake and Sprite. So like cheap flyers really make Winged Words a lot better. There is a Heartpiercer Bow, but again, I think that's a little bit too slow. I'd rather be using Heartpiercer Bow to get Vials in general. So I'm just going to take the Winged Words. And now another Lavakin Brawler. Lavakin Brawler number 3 versus Goblin Smuggler number 1. I'm actually inclined to just take the Lavakin Brawler. We already have a lot of 3-drops, and a lot of our 3-drops already have a lot of our cards already have evasion. We already have Cloudkin Seers, Bird Grabber, Sprite, Drake, Spectral Sailor. Even though we do have Lavakin Brawlers, I think that just getting more Lavakin Brawlers is probably better. Also, one thing to note is that Goblin Smuggler often wheels on Arena, so maybe we can get this Lavakin Brawler. I seem to remember seeing an Uncaged Fury in an earlier pack. I'm not sure if it was this pack 3 or if that was in pack 2, but maybe this if we'll see in another Uncaged Fury, because Lavakin Brawler plus Smuggler plus Uncaged Fury is a nice little combo. But we're just going to take the Lavakin Brawler here over the Smuggler, and Smuggler might even wheel because the bots do not take that card. And now the choice is between Anvil Rot Raptor and Octoprophet. Anvil Rot Raptor is better than you think it is in this particular scenario, because we do have 2 Renowned Weaponsmiths to cast it a little bit earlier, a little bit cheaper, which could make it a little bit better. But I think Octoprophet's just a better card overall, so we're just going to take that. Scrying is quite nice. And now we'll just take a Sage Denizen. I guess we did have 2 Prismites to help with the splash of red, but I still don't think it's worth it. Let's just take the Anvil Rot Raptor now. And we get a bow. I'm not sure if we want to play it. As I expected, the Pattern Matcher came back. Let's take a crab, I guess. Another bow or a wand. We'd rather play bow than wand. We don't need a Scorched Spitter. And Smuggler did come back as I hoped and dreamed. My prayers came true. Okay. So now our deck is looking quite good. Of course, the first thing to do is to change to your sweet card background, no matter what that may be. Okay, so looking at this deck, 9-8 seems like a solid split, though we will of course check. Let's just go through and see what we want to cut here. Octoprophet, we have a lot of 4-drops, and I think Anvil Rot Raptor is our worst 4-drop by a decent margin. We don't need to play it just because we have a Weaponsmith, so we will cut the Anvil Rot Raptor. We have 4, 5, 6, 7 4-drops, so Octoprophet is our next worst 4-drop, and we definitely want to cut that. It's just not an elemental. We can't ramp it out with our Ember Cat, and overall we don't want to have too many we don't want to have too many 4-drops. Moving down the curve, we definitely want to keep all these 3-drops. They're all quite good. Bird Grabber is definitely our worst 2-drop, so we're going to cut that one. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other 2-drops. We could just cut a Negate, though I like having the interaction. Because if you look at this deck, we do not really have removal. That's why these Vials are pretty good. We have Chandra, and then we have Vials, and that's pretty much it. So Negate could be really key. Let's figure out our last cut. I could see cutting a Pattern Matcher, but it does work kind of nicely with Weaponsmith as just a card that you can use your mana on. So I could see cutting maybe a Metropolis Sprite. Though Metropolis Sprite does work well with Winged Words. Yeah, let's cut the Sprite, I think. I think the Cerulean Drake has just high upside as a way to blank a massive massive red creature. Let's look at our curve a little bit. We have a lot of 4-drops, a lot of 3-drops, and I mean our curve looks pretty solid to me. So let's just cut the Sprite. We have other ways to use our mana, so we might not be able to hold that up very often anyway. Yeah, that is going to do it for our deck, and let's get into some matches. I'm pretty happy with where this deck is at. I think it definitely has the potential to get a lot of wins and be potent. Yeah, Garak the Tailor. Hopefully it's not the Tailor that slays 7 with 1 blow. This is going to be a keeper. Any way to get a Chandra out on turn 3 is oftentimes going to lead to a successful game. And if we can just go turn 2 Ember, oh my gosh, this hand just became insane. Turn 3 Chandra, turn 4 Air Elemental, game. So we're playing against Temur. Temur is a very common deck to face. So we're just going to Chandra and actually going to -1 to get a Vial of Dragonfire into play. And then next turn, if we want, we can use the Vial. We just have at least have the option. Plussing doesn't really do much here. Goblin Smuggler, eh? Huh. So a little bit punished for our line of getting this Vial out. I do think it is correct, though, because if our opponent plays a creature with more than 2 toughness, we can kind of team up to stop it. Okie doke. We are going to play our land. We're definitely going to get this Air Elemental out. And then we're just going to plus this Chandra. There aren't very many ways to kill Air Elemental in a green deck with this type of mana out. They could have another red land and be splashing blue and then just Chandra's Outrage it. But it looks like they're a base green deck, so I was willing to risk that. And it looks like we got paid off. Now we can kill the Goblin Smuggler, get a Lavakin Brawler into play. They scryed to the top. And to the bottom. If we do draw a land, we can even cast Lavakin Brawler and then hold up our Vial of Dragonfire. So we can even just afford to plus the Chandra. So I think we're going to do that. So we don't want to put this Chandra too low, because putting it onto 1 loyalty means we have less options with our Vial. So we kind of want to keep this Chandra protected. So my plan right now is to play the Lavakin Brawler using the Embercat mana, and then use the other 2 mana to potentially kill the Goblin Smuggler if it would become a problem, and then just plus the Chandra. This way I get to keep my Chandra protected.
Gosh, look at all these friends.
And we will not attack. And then next turn, I can start taking out my opponent's creatures. Okay, nice. We are rewarded for our play. Patience is rewarded, as they say. Because killing the Air Elemental is definitely a higher priority. So now the question is, do we want to use our Vial of Dragonfire to kill the Goblin Smuggler end of turn, and then untap, use our other Vial plus this Chandra to kill the Air Elemental? Do I really care about Goblin Smuggler is the question. I think I don't really right now. we will team up to kill that.
Call my fist Pyromaster and Firebrand.
And then we will play our second vial. And then not attack, because we don't want to risk it. Getting in 4 damage right now is not how we're winning the game. We're going to win this game by getting more value out of our Chandra, plussing it, and then minusing it on Goblin Smuggler, minusing it on like Octoprophet or something. Plus the vial to take it down. Okay. We are looking for a big draw here. That's a solid draw. I mean, it would be a solid draw, but we already used our vials. It at least is a blocker. So now the question is, do we want to cash in this Chandra just to kill the Fire Elemental? And then just attack for a big amount of damage? Because this can attack for 5, which means these can't really block. I think the answer is probably yes. We want to start getting in damage. We can't protect this Chandra forever. And they're going to be left with a 2-2 and a 3-3 against my massive board. Because otherwise we're going to have to trade Air Elemental for Fire Elemental to keep our Chandra safe.
Hold on. I'm gonna try something new.
Because they'll just attack us and we will be forced to make an unfavorable trade. And we're willing to trade off Lavakin Brawler for both of my opponent's creatures here. So now we have a pretty decent board state. I would be much happier if we still had a Vial to go get in our deck. Okay. That is unfortunate. We actually don't have any way to get rid of that, so except our Meteor Golem. So now we're just trying to draw some winged words, I think. So they get to increase their threat density a tiny bit. Huh. Okey-doke. So it's pure top deck war here. They did just shuffle some spells back in their deck. And they have a Season of Growth out. So they are a little bit favored in a top deck war. Though if I draw one Winged Words, that can all change. Nice. First try. Dang it. Max punished. I really wish I had a Heartpiercer bow, but that's just because of this exact situation. Sure, Lavakin Brawler. We are by no means out of it. We are just not in an ideal situation because of this. They just have a nice little engine rolling. We're going to wait on the Pattern Matcher. It could get another Ruined Weaponsmith, but that's not really that good. And since this game is kind of stalling out, we'd much rather wait until we draw like a Lavakin Brawler and then duplicate that. And we're not going to kill that because we'd rather wait until we can get a Pattern Matcher or something into play. Well, that's completely brutal. Ouch. So... now we will use a pattern magic because we have a second one, and we just need to get some stuff on board. Ooh, we have Cloud Concealers. I forgot about those. They don't really do well against a Mammoth Spider, but something at least. Sure, Heart Piercer Bow is kind of a blank here. Sure. So it looks like my opponent has a pump spell, but they tapped out of all their green mana, which makes this, like, kind of not a super scary pump spell, I guess. Like, there's Infuriate to play around. So let's pass the blockers. Can we beat an Infuriate is the question. Because if we can't beat an Infuriate, there's no need to play around it. So if they can give one of these guys +3/+2, we have 3, 5, 6, 7. So we could like squad block everything. But I think getting this Mammoth Spider off the table right now is very valuable. Because if we block like this, like we kill their Mammoth Spider. Or we could just take an extra... they could also have an Uncaged Fury, which I definitely don't think we can beat. So if we block like this, we play around Infuriate. And take 7. Yeah, let's play around Infuriate. I feel like they wouldn't make this attack without some sort of combat trick. And we can't beat Uncaged Fury, but we can beat Infuriate. Okay, so we go to 9, which I'm not super worried about. Man, so the question is if they make it... yeah, we're just going to wait. We can afford to take another hit. If they have Goblin Smuggler, we're going to be punished. But we are not. We just need to, like, if we draw, like, a Cloud Concealer or something, we want to be able to get another one. Please, no. Don't have the Goblin Smuggler. So the thing is, my opponent didn't really know that we had no way to beat a Mammoth Spider. Okay, now we will block the Lavacan Brawler and go to 6. So we go to 6. We're going to be in decent shape here. Unfortunately, Cloud Concealer is not the greatest draw just because it doesn't... yeah, and Cerulean Drake is completely useless. Okay, in the interest of not dying, we're going to have to play the Pattern Matcher. Let's just shuffle our deck for the fun. Oh, we have Spectral Sailor. That would be a good draw. Actually, it dies to the Heart Piercer Bow. Maybe not as good as I was hoping. Oh, Drakaseth, you don't say. You know what I would like to draw is a Meteor Golem. We would double block, but it doesn't matter. Come on, Meteor Golem. I know you're in there. And we just scoop it up. Actually, oh yeah, we wouldn't have to, but the Heartpiercer Bow can ping the Cerulean Drake. And then just go face and kill us, so. Unfortunate. I'm just trying to think. So yeah, they just had too much of an engine going and we never drew our Meteor Golem. Slash a lot of our good cards. It's okay. We can get there next round. Would we like to run a Heartpiercer Bow just because we have 2 Weaponsmiths? I don't think so. We could consider running a Bone Dash for some extra interaction, is what I'm thinking about right now. Because we kind of lack interaction, but let's just try it again. I don't want to change too much, considering that I think our deck is quite good, and that we just kind of didn't get there in the matchup. Okay, this is an excellent hand. Meteor Golem, you don't say. Well, against a green deck, we will probably run out the Spectral Sailor early to get a couple card draws in. Not to get a couple points of damage in. We can Vial away Greenwood Seer. Sentinel, we really don't want to have to do that because, as I said before, we have very limited removal in this deck. But I think it could totally be viable. Okay, yeah, we will end up doing that then. We just don't want to keep taking... We don't want to take 4 damage next turn. Because the way damage works is it kind of snowballs out of control. If I don't kill that creature there, and I rely on Pattern Matcher surviving, let's just say they play a 4-drop here. The next turn, I play Pattern Matcher, and then they kill it. It just ends really badly for me. Okay, those are fine cards for them to mill. I am not that concerned. Though ramping out a Meteor Golem would have been sweet. We will play our Pattern Matcher here just in the dark. We now have enough land to play Meteor Golem, and our Spectral Sailor is going to be getting some value, so that's good. We'll just shuffle our deck for the heck of it. I guess, yeah, my opponent already kind of knows I don't have multiple Spectral Sailors. If they had a Rapid Bite, they probably would have used it to take out the Sailor. And it also can't take out Pattern Matcher anyway. Okay, perfect. Now we get to start using our Sailor. Sailor definitely seeming pretty good here. Note that if we had taken the Cloud Concealer over the Sailor, it would have worked better with the Pattern Matcher probably. So that's one thing I guess I didn't consider. I don't think we had any Pattern Matchers when we made that pick though. Keep on milling those lands, bro. All the Cerulean Drakes. Maybe I do want Heartpiercer Bow. Looks like it would have been good here. We're just going to play the Ember Cat and draw a card with Sailor. We're nowhere close to milling, so we're not really afraid of that option. We kind of want to save our Meteor Golem. I was feeling the pressure to end the game. Luckily for us, we are under no such pressure. So they have 6 mana up. let's attack here. Get rid of the 2/3 so that we don't get in risk of milling ourselves, because we are going to look to draw a bunch of cards here. We should have attacked with Spectral Sailor. Bring a Brawler down. Oh, punished to the max. I considered using the Ember Cat, but it didn't seem super pertinent, and having up an extra blocker seemed like it could be relevant. So we will take a little bit of a hit here from the Drakes and the Cutthroat, and then we can Meteor Golem the Cutthroat. Not much going on at the moment. So we take 6 here. Actually, let's just block a Cerulean Drake. We don't really need to trade 1 damage for 2 damage here. We're going to have so many more cards than my opponent. And making that trade is fine for us. So my opponent is nowhere near activating this, but it's still a 5/5, so let's just take care of it now. Get in for 4. Then we can trade with Brineborn Cutthroat. Ah, the mill! I'm actually not sure if I want to block. I'm not actually going to block here. We're going to go to 4 life points here, because our opponent is kind of doing too much here in a way, because we kind of just want to pressure, like, race them. Because we can just attack them back for 7 here. Sure. So we will now block, block, block. We have 11 cards after we're fine on that front. I'm kind of afraid of a growth cycle, which is why I blocked here. When my opponent only has 1 card in hand, I usually don't play around anything, especially if they just drew it, and they haven't really been holding cards in hand. So, oh, this is beautiful. Let's draw a card. Oh, magnificent. You beautiful, beautiful beast, Lavakin Brawler. So now we're at 9 cards. There's really no way they mill us here. Oh, they had a Feral Invocation. Oh, that's not great. Yikes. We can use this Pattern Matcher here, get another Lavakin Brawler. which I believe we have. Perfect. Opponent was unable to mill it. Put them to 1. And now, unless they can find a way to get this thing through, which I don't think they have, the game is ours. That was a pretty solid game. I think we played it pretty well. I have been thinking that a Heartpiercer bow would be decent, but I think that might just be biased from the matchups. Bow and Dash would probably be better. I think we only want 1 Renowned Weaponsmith. I think 2 is a bit overkill. And for that we can put in a Bow and Dash. Maybe even a Metropolis Sprite would be better, but I think Bow and Dash is pretty solid in our deck. We just need more interaction, especially for late game bombs. And 2 Weaponsmith is a bit of overkill. Okay, so this hand is a keep, but it's kind of a sketchy one. Because if we don't draw an island, we don't do anything for the first couple turns. Hello, opponent. That is probably our worst draw. That is not an island. I mean, that is not an... I mean, it's just not a great draw, regardless. Oh yes, I never doubted it for a second. Now we can negate a Raise the Alarm, which is actually kind of clutch. Oh, they're blue-green. No Risen Reef, no Risen Reef, no Risen Reef. Oh, thank goodness. Oh, I was so worried. You have no idea, chat. I guess chat is a Twitch thing. You have no idea, YouTube comments. Ah, the Vial. Hello. Hello, good friend. So I'm not actually going to just run out the Chandra here. I'm just going to play my Lavakin Brawler. Because it's the most mana-efficient play, and it also just really shuts down my opponent's stuff. Like, they can't attack into it on the ground. They don't have any... There's no token makers in green other than Feral Pup. And the rare Night Pack Howler thing. So this just makes their attacks much worse. And then next turn I can untap and then play Frostlinks plus Vial or Frostlinks plus Hold Up some stuff. I'm actually fine with that exchange because it means they probably don't have anything. I want to be able to play Chandra with some backup if I can. So this land means I'm not going to play Chandra this turn. I'm just going to continue making the mana-efficient plays. I'm just going to play Frostlinks plus Vial this turn. And then next turn I can play Chandra with Negate backup. No need to attack here. My opponent's board is imminently weak to Chandra. Okay, now there's not a reason to play Chandra again. Because we will just play Meteor Golem to kill the Boreal Elemental first. We'll probably use this Vial of Dragonfire here. Yikes. Let's just counter the negate. I mean, negate the Bag of Holding. Seems like it could do good work. I'm not putting my opponent under any pressure. Unfortunately here we do have to kill the Boreal Elemental, so then next turn Chandra can kill the Frostlinks. Now we will attack. We're going to be fine double trading here, because now we kind of have the ground stalled, so killing their creatures, making our life total safer. And then we'll just take over with Spectral Sailor and Chandra. Oh, thank goodness, we got there. We got there. That was a bit of a risky game, like a little bit of a gamble. We just didn't want to have our opponent Frostlings us and be able to pressure our Chandra. Okay, die, Risen Reef, you cheeky, cheeky devil. No attacks. We're going to just be winning the game with Chandra plus Spectral Sailor. We're not going to play around Growth Cycle, because if they had a Growth Cycle, they would have used it already. But we will play around Feral Invocation. Punished. Not severely punished, but it's still not great. Oh, this is a beautiful draw. Mana is a wonderful thing.
Time to turn up the heat.
Gonna put my opponent on a bit of a clock here. Since they're not playing red, we don't have anything to fear. And play all of our lands because we have Spectral Sailor and no ways to rummage or anything. And my opponent has blanked off a lot of their plays from this Hydra. I mean, from this Chandra. No, you monster. That's a brutal sequence there. Oh, now Pattern Matcher can't even get a Frost Lynx.
Oh, I just want to hug all those fire critters.
I could attack for 8. And then my opponent attacks the Chandra back. I block here. If they have a removal spell, then I lose my Chandra. I am sad that they had a Hydra, but I don't think Spectral Sailor could be expected to live much longer. Oh, they're just attacking face. So we could triple block this thing. We could also just double block here. I think I like triple blocking this thing. Even though they could technically like pull some Rosset back, it's just kind of a scary card. Jeez. Cannot catch a break here. Well, we just lose. That is the downside. We almost got there despite our draw. I mean, we just didn't have a great draw compared to... I mean, we had an okay draw. I'm not going to blame the draw on this one completely. But we did draw 10 lands. Which is kind of why we lost here. I don't think it's completely over, but... We are going to play the land because we could technically... And I guess if we'd made less defensive blocks, we could have been fine. We're not technically dead because we could draw Winged Words. That's step 1. Into a couple more spells. Man, we're just short. Brutal. We could get Air Elemental into play and then go block, but then we die. Unfortunate. Unfortunate indeed. We were just a turn too late on that. Huh. Oh, we're not playing our Swiftwater Cliffs. Yikes. Whoops. Luckily, we haven't really been mana screwed, but that should definitely have been in there. Yeah, let's just run it back. I think our deck just lacks removal spells, and we've come up against places where we've really needed those removal spells. It is a bit unfortunate, but that is the way it works sometimes. Okay, this is a good hand. Also, I mean, we have gotten a tad unlucky, I'd say, at times. Like, we had a very good start to a couple of these games, and they just did not go well at all from there. Do we want to just play Smuggler? Let's play Smuggler and offer the trade. I don't think we're going to need Smuggler to win this game. But keeping the board clear for a Chandra is really important, so we're fine just killing their 2-drop with our 3-drop. Even though Smuggler has late game applications, if they just play another 2-drop here, we are fine with that. So now we can play Chandra. Anytime you can get a Planeswalker onto an empty board, you are in great shape. And next turn we can minus her for mana and get Lavakin Brawler and Frostlings into play. I guess now we'll just get Lavakin Brawler and we're now Weaponsmith into play. Golos. Oh no. Oh dear. So we're gonna go Frostlinks. And then use our renowned weapons with the mana. Get another Frostlinks.
Let's get stoked.
We're so dead though. My opponent's just activating Golos. Please don't get a good 3 spells. I've never seen a Golos this fast. What? They're just casting Frostlinks? How is that possible? Oh, they don't have 8 mana. I mean 7 mana yet. Oh, thank goodness.
Call my fists Pyromaster and Firebrand.
We're going to use the Weaponsmith to get a Vial. Because next turn we can kill Golos with double Vial and a Chandra. No, we can't use Chandra. Dang it. Okay. Is the opponent just dead? Oh no, not. So let's just plus
Time to turn up the heat.
kill a blocker. So this is 4, 8, 11. So they have to chump the Flamekin Brawler. Boom! Nice. This can't target face, but they didn't realize that, I guess. Nice. It was probably correct to attack with the Weaponsmith just to put them to exactly 1. Though I like protecting the Chandra, because then Chandra can minus to finish them off. Nice! We got the win. Clearly it was just that we needed Swiftwater Cliffs in our deck. You know what I think part of our problem might be? Is we're playing this as too much of a defensive control deck. instead of a more aggressive deck. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to cut the Bone to Ash from a Metropolis Sprite. And we're going to add the Bird Grabber for a Pattern Matcher. And then we're going to try it like this. And this might just make our deck a little bit more aggressive. And that might be just what we need. Because when you don't have removal, going long is not an option. And I think it took me a little bit too long to realize that. We tried to compensate with a Bone to Ash. But that's just not the right strategy in this situation. In this situation, we should probably just try to be more aggressive. Use a Bird Grabber. And that was the exact type of game that really kind of shows you that. We'll keep this hand. Like, sure, we can kind of go a little bit long with Weaponsmith getting out Vials. But that only gets rid of small creatures. And we kind of need a way to deal with big creatures. Okay, Skeleton is fine. We are a Flyers-oriented aggro deck. And also, ramping out a turn 5 Meteor Golem will help. So we could go Metropolis Sprite plus use Renowned Weaponsmith. Let's just play Cloudkins here. Just a little bit more power in the air. Because now next turn we can go Sprite plus Winged Words. Then a turn 5 Meteor Golem. Oh, that's really good. Getting another Cloudkins here is quite nice. Murder on a Cloudkins here, eh? I still think that the play is fine. They did have to use their premium removal spell on my 2/1 flyer. We are going to play land, play Winged Words. Okay. I was going to try and hold control and use the Weaponsmith in response because we obviously don't want to just... Yep, okie doke. We will just get a Vial now. Sure. Let's just kill their 3/3, probably one of their bigger creatures. Get a nice such big attack in. And then have a Vial to kill this 2/2 next turn. Ooh, Gravedigger, ouch. Sure. We're just trying to put the pressure on them before they can recover, so I'm going to play Vial, kill Gravedigger. Play Vial, kill Zombie. Play our land. So we can attack for max damage. Because now we have them on a nice little clock here. Whereby if they play this, they are forced to jump with one of their creatures. Oh, that's a huge draw. So now we can attack with everything. This puts them to 3. They have to trade, chump, or they die. And then next turn, Metropolis Sprite is lethal. And we have a negate backup to protect it. So we have to fade a flyer and a removal spell, pretty much. Boom, and our changes to our deck really came in clutch. Again, we can't really kill their creatures, but we can kill them before their creatures become relevant. And I think that one change could make all the difference. We actually got a nice win there, and I don't think we would have got it necessarily if we hadn't changed up our playstyle a little bit. Yeah, I like this build, I think. I don't think Heartpiercer Bow is fast enough for what we're doing. And I think our deck is pretty much as good as it can be. It definitely isn't the greatest deck I've ever drafted, but it's far from the worst. It's actually a pretty good deck. I was pretty happy with how we drafted it, and I think that it can do a lot of good stuff. Okie doke. Let us face down Hot Dog. Solid hand. We're playing against a red deck, Cerulean Drake and Chandra will be good. Pattern matchup plus our Lavakin Brawler is one of our nice little combos. And a turn 1, a Skelly Welly. Sure thing, buddy. White-black is a color combination that I think is quite weak. And we'll see how it performs against us. We do not have the greatest draw. Our cards are a little bit anemic. Because Cerulean Drake is not great outside of red matchups. Luckily they did not follow that with a Gauntlets of Light, because we have no way to punish that in our deck, and it would have been very tricky to deal with. Audacious Thief. We will Frost Lynx that down. And then Chandra that down. And we do shut down some of their attacks here. So we actually are going to block here. Because if they use a combat trick, it means they're not using a, playing a creature, and we don't really want to see another creature with our Chandra coming down next turn. Yeah, because like things like Griffin Protector really make that much worse. Let's just play our Lavakin Brawler here. Sure, the Audacious Thief gets a nice little draw in, but it has to suicide into our Brawler to make that happen. So unless our opponent has like Pacifism plus Murder, which was already going to probably beat us, to be quite honest, they don't get a free attack in. The first free attack is really where this card starts to crush you. Ouch. So, not the greatest for us. But Chandra minus on this probably wouldn't have gone that much better. It's just we really wanted to get our pattern matcher to copy Lavakin, because Lavakin's one of our best cards. We will trade our 1/1 flyer for their 1/3 lifelinker. Oh dear. Okay, that's fine. Now we do have a way to kill the Protector.
I think I'm a decent enough pyromancer.
But for now, we're just going to do that and no attacks. We can chump the Protector, then next turn ramp out our Meteor Golem to kill this, using the Chandra minus ability. Probably the best use our Cerulean Drake is going to get. Though now, minusing Chandra to kill this thing is appealing. Okay, I'm really liking this now. Kill this guy.
Hold on. I'm gonna try something
Play our
new.
weaponsmith, and weaponsmith actually has both vials to go get. We're just gonna pass. We don't need to use our pattern matcher just yet. We could really use the value later on, though. Okay. More than Inquisitor's a little bit irritating with this on it. We're still on the kill the flyer plan.
Oh, my spirit's been doused.
So not playing the pattern matcher has so far cost us 3 damage. But they had to have, like, draw the Ancestral Blade, so, like, that's not something I'm generally going to be playing around. Hopefully they take the moment to re-equip it. Gaining a life here is actually quite relevant because it puts me an extra turn up on the opponent. Okay, let's see what we can do here. We can't block this guy right now, but we can draw an air elemental. I'm actually considering using this on upkeep just because drawing a vial is such a bad outcome for us. Let's just get our vial right now. Because with 2 copies, we actually have decent odds of drawing one. Okay, we are going to play the pattern matcher now. So now we can threaten a double block on that. Hopefully he does not have another Blade Brand. Perfect. Oh, I should have used it on upkeep again. Okay. So we have now got a very good board state. We have 2 vials to kill their creatures. We can, we have a lot of good draws still. We have Air Elemental, we have multiple Lavakin Brawlers. We're still at a pretty high life total, and our Metropolis Sprite can start chipping in. We have them on an 11-turn clock. They also have only 5 lands in play, so maybe they have a Meteor Golem, or they're just flooding out really hard. Sorry about that. We are going to play our lands because we want to have very good Winged Words draws, or go like Cloud Conceer into Winged Words or something like that, and have that be available. Heartpiercer Bow would be pretty good here, but again, you can't think about cards in like a very specific situation. Okay, I like playing the Frostlings here. It lets me get in for a nice big attack. Or at least a relatively large attack. They do get to chump with the skeleton, but getting an extra 3 points of damage is quite significant here. I could have maybe got in with the weaponsmith even. So yeah, I guess that was a little bit of a mistake. A miscue. I could technically be using 2 vials to kill the Moorland, but I feel like the vials are potentially holding back a lot of my opponent's plays. And Moorland's actually not that scary. He's pretty much just a glorified 2-2. Fencing Ace is much scarier. Let's attack with all of them as we should have done last turn. If they do go for some fancy block with Fencing Ace, we can just kill it. So they're forcing us to pop a vial here. So maybe they do have something they're trying to protect in their hand. So now they can attack us back, so maybe I was supposed to hold back the Weaponsmith that turn. Though I guess Weaponsmith doesn't... Yeah, maybe I was supposed to attack with Frostlings that turn. I think getting all this chip damage in has really helped my clock, because now I have them on a 6-turn clock. Okay. So now it's a straight top deck battle, but they have a Sanitarium skeleton. I'm definitely not going to play around Planar Cleansing, so I have good draws here. I've already done my 3 draws in a row of land, so I was due for my perfect rip of Winged Words into more action. Nice. So now we have 7, we have 6 lands left in the deck of our 16 cards, so we have 10 live draws. We have a Winged Words, 2 Cloudkin Seers still. Lots of fantastic draws, and another Flamekin, Lavakin, I mean. Oh my gosh, that was a fantastic draw. Jeez, we definitely top decked well after that board wipe. Give me my Cloudkin Seer. No attacks. No need to get too greedy. This is where playing all those lands before has really come in useful. They need to have a murder for this or a disfigure. Oh, of course they have Sephara. Why wouldn't they have Sephara? Just typical planar cleansing into Sephara. That's so silly. We can't actually beat a Safari, which is what makes this so perfect. Nothing we could do, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am so disappointed that we're going to lose this game in such a dumb way. We just needed more action a little bit sooner. Oh well. It happens. Opponent did play it pretty well, slow rolled this thing for a while. I don't think we could have really played that much differently. That is the downside of our deck. We do not have removal. If only we had drawn this Negate before the planar cleansing. Oh, this doesn't have first strike. We can just triple block it here. Sure. It's like my opponent knows my... I forgot I had that card. Go, Lavacan Brawler! Be the hero you were always meant to be! Go! I have 2, 6, 7, 8. Do I have another Frostlings? There's one Frostlings. I do not. I don't have a Chandra. I don't have a Frostlings. What do I have left in my deck? I have 7, 8. I have 3 lands left. So let's just block like this. This is 7. We don't want to draw. So we have one spell left in our deck. What is it? So we're going to have a couple of attacks. We have to just pass. counter that thing. That's actually a huge thing. That actually might win me the game. That could just be the thing that wins me the game, because my opponent was going to go for lethal. Oh my gosh, I was so sure I'd lost this game. Oh my gosh. Because now we have 3, 4. We just have to hold back this Ember Cat. We have exactly enough turns too. Holy heck, that negate was so clutch. Oh. Oh. Oh, did we do it? Did we do it? Oh no, I choked. I didn't need to attack with Cloud Conceer. No, now I lose the removal. Well, I deserve to lose this game. Though I guess I was kind of dead removal. Oh! We won. I cannot believe it. Oh my gosh, that was insane. If they hadn't gone for Blood for Bones, we were going to be in deep trouble because we weren't going to have enough blockers, because my opponent could have just counted and realized they only had one spell, so as long as I didn't draw that one spell, I couldn't actually block the 3-3 because I had to hold back the 2-2 block the 1-2 skeleton, and I had to be able to deal with the 3-3 somehow, but I couldn't afford to get rid of any elementals because my Flamekin Brawler needed to be big enough to win before the game ended, with me decking. Whew. Oh my gosh, this is insane. That game was unbelievable. I just assumed that I had lost. Yeah. Insane. Calm down, keep in this hand. Though, maybe it's not worth keeping. Yeah, it's probably worth keeping. It's a decent hand. Man, this deck is already performing beyond my wildest dreams. Whew, nice artwork. Nice. Trailblazer, sure. We're going to use this Vial of Dragonfire as a 4-drop, essentially, to hopefully snipe this Creeping Trailblazer when they don't have mana up. Cryptic Caves, nice, nice. If my opponent attacks, you can bet I will block. Though maybe they have Feral Invocation. This really seems like a Feral Invocation to me. So the question is, can I, if they have Feral Invocation, when am I ever going to kill this thing? Show me Feral Invocation and I concede. You got me. Rats. Ratty doody dat dat. Wrecked. Knew they had it too. Just made sense. But you can't always play around it. Sometimes you just gotta take the high percentage play. Because it could just be a growth cycle as well, or an infuriate or something. Brutal. We are just going to kill the Goblin Smuggler. We're going to hope to draw into our Meteor Golem. That's going to be our out this game. Also potentially just racing this thanks to our tempo from Frostlinks. So we're just going to get all of our stuff on the table so we can have maximum power and toughness in play. Come on, they have a shock. So maybe this is a fine turn to get a winged words. I guess we can't do winged words for 2 mana anymore. Oh well. So we will Frost links this thing down. Hopefully they are a bit flooded or something. Let's go, winged words. We could get there. Frostlinks is a nice pickup. That is the downside when you go for a little feral invocation action, is sometimes you get frost. Oh my gosh. Never mind, we lose. It was a nice effort, but you know, you can't beat Nightpack Ambusher. Oh man, their deck is great. Nightpack Ambusher is so good. Classic. Classic rips off the top. Yeah, them just making a 2/2 every turn is too good for me. We made a noble effort. It was truly a noble effort indeed. Oh man, that's our answer to Nightpack Ambusher too. Sorry. Oh, this is insane. Now we can double block Nightpack Ambusher if they attack, and then Meteor Golem their guy. We're not out of it yet. Oh no. Just attack. Let me trade. I'll go to 1. I'll take it. This is so bad. Oh my gosh, of course they have overcome. No! GG, opponent. Oh, GG. That's actually really funny. That game was just them having it all. Our scrappy little deck, though. We were 1-2 with this bad boy, and then we rattled off those 3 wins. That was pretty nice. If you did make it all the way till the end of this video, I really thank you for it. Thank you so much for watching. It really is awesome to have such a nice community. Leave a hashtag strategy switch up. No, wait. That's not good for a hashtag. Hashtag changing gears in the comment section down below. Hashtag changing gears. So let me know you made it all the way to the end of the video. Leave a thumbs up if the video gets to 50 thumbs up. Remember, I will post another video tomorrow. Subscribe to the channel to join our community here on YouTube. And if you would like to further support the channel, consider supporting over on Patreon. Patreon.com/NicolaiBolas is a place you can go to give back directly to the channel. Maybe it helps you win a couple extra booster packs, or maybe you just really enjoy the entertainment and you would like to give back. Patreon.com/NicolaiBolas is the best way to do that. And if you, there's a bunch of different reward tiers, and one of those rewards is being featured in the credits. So thank you to all my patrons that support me at that tier and every other tier as well. Thank you so much for that. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you guys next time.